Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dene, your family law and wellness needs. I'm attorney Dene Matthews. I'm a wife, a mother, and the owner of the Dunn Matthews Law Firm, a boutique family law firm in Metro Atlanta, where we help people recreate their definition of family. I started Conversations with Dene as a way to educate, empower, and enlighten individuals around the world as it relates to their family law and domestic needs intertwining with their day-to-day lives. And today we are exploring the power of your financial health. And to join us today, I have Jen Jonassaint. Jen is a certified financial and life transformation coach. She has helped hundreds gain control over their finances so that they can enjoy, give, and leave a legacy for their loved ones. Jen grew up in a home where they were monetarily poor, and so she had to survive. And if you look at her bio, the word survival is in all caps because she truly had to take everything that she experienced and transform that into where she is today. She has taken countless financial classes. She's been certified as a money professional and attended a myriad of money workshops. And so we initially recorded this interview on October 27th, 2021, and unfortunately had a bit of some technical difficulties. And so we are transitioning you into Jen and when she first began speaking after I had some technical difficulties. And so without further ado, you will next hear from Jen on financial health and what that means. And then we will get into the remainder of the interview. All right, take it away, Jen.
And I think one of the questions that you talked about was financial health. What is financial health? And to me, financial health is the same as financial well-being. And it's just a consumer-driven definition of, a test of questions to figure out where people are financially. And there's so many different ways that people, when I was doing the research on financial well-being, there's a scale that people use to figure out, what is financial well-being. It could mean so many different things to one person. But my definition is really financial capability. And it just encompasses a lot of different areas. It's financial education, financial counseling, and financial coaching. It's a more comprehensive approach because some people are very well consumed, but they're not educated. Some people are very educated, but they're not, in a place where they understand assets and liabilities. And so for me, I take my clients through a scale of well-being, financial well-being. And if you had different questions that will create a wellness chart for them. So every consumer is so different. And so I never want to put a blanket case on, what is financial health, because it really is consumer driven and it's based a lot on data and research on their own individual financial health. So,
right. I guess in their finances and whether or not you have children or don't have children and all of those things. So yeah, no one size fits all in this scenario. Right. And so what do you believe though is what does financial health and being in a safe or healthy financial space, what type of power does that have over someone's life? What can it have?
It has tremendous power. And I serve motivated women who want to gain competence, control, capability, so many different confidence in their finances. And so many women that I work with, they don't have the confidence, so they don't have the control. And so for me, having that, and nobody has total control. I mean, can you say COVID, right? Like nobody has total control. But if you have the foundational education, financial education, literacy, and October is National Economic Month. So if you have that basic foundation, which is called in my world common sense, but how to deal with finances, typical things like, spend less than you earn, have a 3 to 6 months of saving, I call it the B word, but I call it a spending plan. Have a spending plan that you use and create every single month. Every single month is different. Every single month is different in terms of the expenses. So I would say the very, very basic thing is financial education around, if you ask me, Jennifer, what do you spend on food every month? I know exactly what it is because I've done this for 25 years. And so I've now aggregated all my spending plan into a place where I know exactly what I spend. Now, for somebody that's coming to me, I would say, look at all the areas of your finances, whether it's banking, and it's something so simple, right? Banking, credit cards. What fees are you paying? Do you know the interest on your credit cards? Do you have any idea of how long it would take to pay it off? Do you know exactly how much student loans do you have? Is it deferred? Is what percentage? All of those questions encompasses when I do a comprehensive, I call it an audit on someone's finances, is not just one area. It's not just in savings. It's not just in spending. It is in every area. It is in present and the future, right? Because we want to begin to plan with the end in mind, like Stephen Covey says. So you always want to look at every area. Insurance. I'm going to have an insurance person on Friday. She's versed in insurance, and insurance is something. I was a life insurance agent, and insurance is the last thing that people want. Yeah. Can I just say that if you don't have insurance, you can be taken down really quickly.
Because it's the one thing we're promised, right? Like
that's right. That's right. And I'm not just talking auto insurance or life insurance. Yeah. Those are just one thing. So she's going to talk about insurance in every area. Okay. And people don't see that as part of a financial health, but I see that as a pivotal part of financial health. It's almost like wellness, right? I could exercise all I want, but if I don't eat right, it defeats the purpose. It doesn't matter. So financial health is all encompassing. And when I look at it, I look at the grand scope of financial health. And I also look at legacy because I'm big on legacy. I feel that giving is a part of financial health. Legacy is a part of financial health. And that's for my clients who really are beyond sort of the, my program is Tiny Steps to Triumph. It's beyond the 6th step or beyond the certain step. So there's the contemplation stage where people are thinking about it. There's a pre-contemplation stage where people are like, well, I should do this, but I'm not. So there's different stages that I take people through. But if it's not comprehensive, then you're missing part of it, right? You're missing part of that. So I liken it to a physical.
I'm sorry. I know you didn't want to say the B word, right?
I am not going there.
People hate the budget word. I
am not using that word. No, I don't like it for myself.
So you call it the spending plan.
It is. I like it.
Now that people are more, willing to actually sit down and do that on a monthly basis when they don't associate it with the B word.
Yes, and there's so many more things. I mean, I go deep into the money story, that's another subject, the money story, which is, I had a coach that really helped me to do that. I mean, if you don't do the work, you're not going to get the results, right? So for me, I had to, because I'm not traditional in that way. I'm not an accountant. I love my accountant friends, but I just think accounting is boring. So I wanted to put a fun and creative twist on money so that people feel comfortable. There's so many emotions associated with money. There's shame, there's guilt, there's, all this stuff. And you're an attorney, so you see it in your office. Yeah. But I wanted it to be lighthearted. I wanted it to be safe. And I wanted people to feel like when they leave my practice, in how many sessions they have, that they are comfortable with their money.
Yeah, because our money stories follow us, right? Like from what we saw as a child and how our parents.
You heard my story. Yeah.
So whether we choose, you took it and made it a positive, but so many times we take it and we don't know how to change it and transform it and make it better for us.
Right.
And so one thing that I see in divorces, at least quite often, is that finances and communication too is one of those main ways that people kind of their marriage just kind of falls apart. And so how do you recommend that people deal with, coming face to face with their money issues?
Well, first I tell people do an audit on your money. I don't know if you know the show CSI. It is a crime show that I used to watch a long time ago, but I really want people to do a CSI on their finances. I don't care if you're married, divorced, single, or widowed, right? Everybody should be doing a CSI in their money, because people have monies everywhere. They don't even know they leave a job and the money's sitting there in the other job when they have a new job. So integrate everything. Make sure you know what you have, how much you have, who you owe, why you owe it. Make sure you know everything about your money. And make sure you have conversations. I think people don't, you say conversations with, I don't think people have conversations about money. In fact, I know people don't have conversations about money, else they wouldn't be coming to me. They have conversations with me about money because somehow I'm disconnected from their initial life. But people don't have conversations about money. I say people, if you're married or you're a single person, create a money circle with people who you trust, people that you know, people that are safe,
and people are like-minded.
People that are like-minded and have similar values. I'm not talking about the whole world here. I'm talking about, one person or maybe two the most. If you're a couple, you need to have ongoing conversations about money. Yeah. It's so taboo. I mean, two things people really struggle with is having conversations about money and sex. I'm not even going to go there because I'm not in that category, but I'm just saying those two conversations are the hardest for people to have. I'm talking within the family, though. Family circles about money.
Yeah.
When I talk to people about legacy, people think, oh, you have to leave wealth. Really, no. You have to have a conversation about what you want to be remembered. How do you want to be remembered? Why do you want to be remembered? And begin to have conversation. That's the first place I start. Yeah. Not to tell people how much you make, or none of that. Yeah. It's just to have the sort of initial conversations about money. It could be really simple, but I think people make it really complex. And
people make it very complex because it's this taboo thing that for so many years it was, you got to keep a hush hush on what your financial situation looks like, or don't let people know if you're in trouble, or don't let people know if you're doing great. And honestly, that's one thing that I have struggled with myself just in business growth, right? Because wow, if my business catapults this way, and then if I get a new car or whatever, what will people think of me? And I had to overcome those thoughts. And I think it happens with the smallest of things also. And so when you say do this CSI of your business, I mean, of your life and your finances, is that a yearly thing? Is that what we're doing monthly when we're doing our strategy session? What does that look like?
So, I tell people, I rename all my money titles because, again, I'm untraditional in the way that I look at money. So, if it's a couple, I just say go on a money date. Very simple. If you're single, go on a money date. It could be a set time during a week or a month or quarterly, whatever. And you begin to have that money conversations and rename all the categories. For example, I had a client who went through a divorce and she racked up a lot of debt, and we renamed that title transitions. It wasn't about the divorce. Yes, she got that, but it was about transition. That money that was spent helped her transition to a new space. And how much more beautiful than to say divorce debt, right? How much easier that sounds than that. So I help people to transition the name of the money. But go back to the CSI and the audit. I say every month you sit down with either yourself if you're single, or your husband if you're married, or with the partner, and begin to go through the things that you used money to spend on the month. To do a big audit or a CSI, you do it maybe twice a year.
Because it's difficult, but nowadays so many banks have the feature on your online banking where you can kind of see, at least from your banking financial health, you can see where your money is being spent. Are you eating out too much? Like me, I am guilty. Are you shopping?
No judgment.
Too much? I am so guilty.
No judgment.
Are you shopping too much? Do you have way too many subscriptions that are happening?
That's right.
Maybe you've got too many NSF charges because you've got too many things going on.
You got it. You got it. That is That's the going on. I call it under the hood, going under the hood. Because if you tend to ignore, minimize, rationalize, deny, you're going to get into trouble. And I've worked with people on the foreclosure. I mean, I was a foreclosure specialist, so I get to work with people after the fact. My goal is to do the prevention work, which is why I tell people to do a financial audit on yourself every month, and do it not in a harsh, critical way, but in a very empathetic way, because sometimes we do spend a lot. Sometimes we do over. I mean, there's no beating up yourself or no judgment, really sort of a gentle approach to money, because nobody taught us. Nobody taught us how to do this.
Nobody taught us.
Right. Nobody sat down and explained. And so this, what I call it a skill that you learn, is it takes practice, right? It takes practice. And the practice happens in community, whether it's a class that you take together with a small group, or you hire a coach, or you do group coaching. It happens among people who will then extend grace to you and not judge you, and you feel safe and comfortable. If it's with yourself, that's okay, right? So there's conversations about money is to have really audits, so that you could see who you owe, how much you owe, because sometimes we don't even know.
And it's not a horrible thing that we weren't taught, right? It's not like to bash our parents and their parents above their parents. It's a generational thing that just continues, regardless of your ethnic background, your religious background, what have you, unless you're in the top 1%, or, which a lot of us are not.
That's right.
If you're watching this or listening, you're more than likely not. And so I think it's very important to do that. So what about that person who recognizes that I wasn't taught? I don't know what this is. I'm just now trying to figure it out myself. I'm now listening to podcasts. I've now got a coach like Jen, or I want Jen services, or whatever they're trying to figure out. But then they also have children. And so they don't want to, create the same mistakes, and they want to make sure that their children are receiving what they're now learning. Right? How do you recommend that they attack that?
So I love it. I have a 13-year-old, so I always have fun. Well, mostly have fun with him when we're talking about money, except when he wants something really expensive. And I'm like, how are you going to get that? So we have money conversations all the time around our kitchen table. And we do it very organically. I say that because, I have a guide on my website. If people want to grab it, how to teach your toddler, a tween and teen about money, because it's a skill that they can build, which is a cool thing. So I say to families, do it together, make it fun. You have to make it fun and allow them to have some control over how you do it. So for me, my son, when he was younger, I would take him to the store. We went shopping anyway. We went to the store and I would show him, I would guide him or coach him of how to compare prices. Now he knows it, like he's knowing more taxes and all this stuff, because it was taught at a very early age. And I said, which one is cheaper? I would go, this really organic, which one is cheaper? And he would obviously point to the cheaper one, but I'd bring him down to the per unit charge, which is really the cost of that item. And I would say to him, now, if you look at this and this, which one is less expensive? And he looked at it and he's, oh, this one. So now when he goes to the store, he's such an interesting young man. Now that he goes to the store, he's able to go to that unit price, which is really where the cost is, right? I'm talking granular stuff, right? Yeah. Now that's just me, because sometimes I get anal, but I would go to the city tax office and I would literally write out a check and give it to him so that he can pay the tax bill. So that when that's
just going over to somebody else. that big number moving over to somebody else.
That's right. Going to the insurance company and say, what, I want to pay my auto insurance bill. Not that I have to, but I get to do it. Bring them to the bank. You know how painful that was? Because I automate everything to bring this kid to the bank and sit him before a banker and have the banker, he's depositing $5 and he has to go through all the different mechanisms. But it was a practice that I knew that if I did early enough, then when he, on his own, now he's going to get a debit card. He'll understand. Listen, when that money runs out, there's nothing else there.
Right.
I'm not just putting a card in a machine and money comes out. That is not the
That is
genie
not
here.
the way it works.
No,
My 6-year-old says that all the time. Can't we just go there into that machine and get
I
the
love
money?
it.
No,
I
ma'am.
love it. I love it.
That's
But
not
you know, but you know, so I say to people, you know, don't sit down with this big accounting stuff, and kids don't. As you go, that's what I say. As we went, we learn. As you go into the store, bring Junior with you and begin to show him not just that, but other things, but pricing, cost, taxes. Oh my goodness, that was a big one. When he first got some money and he was paying for a toy, and I stood there and I said, remember, there's tax involved. Oh, and so he's thinking about how much taxes it costs. Now I would pay the taxes for him
on the shelf. It's not $5.49.
No, but this is organic style of teaching. This is not, you know, academic, which is, you know, I think academic, there's a place for it. But, you know, October is National Economic Month. And how many schools are teaching financial literacy? Not a lot. They're not required to teach it.
No, they're
so
not.
It's really up to the parents to really help your family integrate it. I say play board games. I know board games is kind of boring now because everybody wants technology, but play some board games, things like Monopoly. I know it's outdated. We have a big Monopoly game that we play, and this kid knows how to negotiate.
You got to save in order to buy up those houses.
That's right. That's right.
You can't just buy up the first thing you see because
that's right. That's right.
over there on the other street. No, really. I mean, the most simplest of things, the things that don't necessarily take much work, right?
Well, yeah, it takes time.
You know,
it
right?
Does take time.
It's no extra. How you say, just doing it as you go.
Yeah, do it as you go.
As you live, right? Like, so there's not like, I really have to sit down and think about,
no,
right? I need to add on another task to my plate.
No.
Or it's not that. It's not, it shouldn't be stressful. It shouldn't be overwhelming.
Absolutely. It should be fun.
Yeah.
It should be fun. And it's small bites, because kids get overwhelmed and they're like, I don't want to listen to this. And we use that as an incentive too. So if your son or daughter wants to earn some money, well, gee, would you watch this 20-minute video with me about money? You can get $5, you know, whatever it takes.
They will do anything for money.
You better have the money to pay, because they want it right away.
They want it right away.
But make it fun, keep it simple, and begin to do it consistently. If I could tell someone, be consistent with it. If it's once a month, make it once a month, and make it fun so that you have a reward at the end. Maybe you go out for ice cream, or maybe do something fun at the end, so they could attach money with something that's pleasurable, if they manage it well.
Right.
So that's what I do.
Agreed. I mean, I've got one who holds on to money. I've got one who spends it as soon as he gets it.
That's right.
And I've got one who will just literally hold on to it, but no one knows she's holding on. You know? Like, and you go to the store and she didn't bring her purse with her.
Wow.
You know, because she wants.
So funny. It's so funny, because I laugh, because I have a game that I play with people in my office called Money Habitudes, and everybody has a different attitude and behavior about money. I don't even know where that's caught, because you might be different in the way that you deal, or they see you dealing with money. So it's their own personality with money. Right. So I just think that's funny when you talk about your kids.
It starts so young. You know, it really does start
out of the womb. Out of the womb.
So how do you, or what are your thoughts about how people should attack, because I know we're getting close on our time, bouncing back from financial setbacks? So they may have already started on this journey of, you know, financial health and getting their lives in order, but they have a slip and slide. Right. There's COVID's over. Well, it ain't over. But, you know, we're talking looking forward. COVID's done. They're back at concerts. They're back at the movies. They're doing like all the things. And they've had a setback. Right.
It's interesting that you say that. I have a talk on my Instagram page about, you know, the 5 B's of, you know, if you do have a crisis, because crisis will come. Absolutely. And that's when, you know, you need to put these things in place. You know, the buffer, you must have a buffer. You must be able to have good credit, which is borrowing. I don't advocate people borrowing, but you have to have good access to credit. in order to make sure that you have a comprehensive plan. Benefits. You make sure you know your benefits at your company. Make sure you know the benefits in the community. I talked about when I was unemployed in 1997, and I didn't know what to do. And some of the resources I got was benefits from my community that I didn't even know that they were there. Benefits in your church. Those are all benefits that you could rely on, to bounce back. And then, insurance, which is a backstop, making sure that you have that insurance in place. I have a friend who is ill, and she forgot she had some disability insurance that she was paying on. She was able to get that disability insurance to help her in the short term. So, and this disability comes, you could be paying through a work or anything like that. And then know that through all of this, as you're building your financial house and you're constructing that framework, these 5 B's will help you to have a breakthrough. So, those fundamental things that people don't realize. They don't realize that the community resources, they don't realize that there's many choices that they have. There's many benefits with nonprofits that they can access that they don't even know that's there. And so I tell people, there's a national 411 number that they can call to find out everything from housing to food to different things, and begin to build that framework now more stronger than ever, because you'd have probably taken a class at your church or a class in the community about getting to financial health. But if you do not learn from your mistakes and begin to build stronger, you're going to get back into the same situation like you were in before. And that's not a learning experience. That's not a growing experience. And so I would say implement the 5 B's. Make sure you have a buffer, make sure you have, what your benefits are, make sure you have good borrowing capacity. It's the last thing I would say to do. And then make sure that you understand that there is a backstop. You must have insurance to protect your current wellness. And then, of course, breakthrough will come when you consistently do that over and over again, and build your family health into a stronger place.
And don't expect it to be easy, because it's not going to be easy. And give yourself some grace and give yourself some space to evolve and to know that you're putting in the work. I think that's very important, because so many times our mental and emotional state can get the best of us.
Right.
And then we kind of just give up and flop. But you've got to be willing to give yourself some grace.
Yeah, it's complicated. I tell people it's complicated and it's messy sometimes, but if the chief ingredient, I would say, is consistency. If you're consistent, doing that audit, it is painful. Yeah. And I tell a lot of people don't want to, the consistency is the key with anything that I see. If you're consistent with it, I don't care how messy or ugly it looks, you will get a breakthrough ultimately if you keep the course and don't quit, don't give up.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly agree. So I'm just checking Instagram, see if there's any questions. As we wrap up, if anyone has any questions, please ask. I'm sure Jen would not mind answering them. And so tell us a little bit about what resources you have available and your program very specifically for those who are listening and may want to grab one of those resources or join your program.
Yeah, there's so many guides. I realize that the first step to getting a handle on your finances is self-awareness. If someone is not doesn't want to be self-aware, they're probably not going to grow in their finances as much as they would like to, because it just takes a lot of self-awareness and honesty about where you are. And again, there's no judgment. But so what I tell people is to grab my book. It's a self-awareness journal, really going through a lot of questions and a lot of sort of introspection around, things that money issues, life issues. I'm a lifestyle coach as well, and begin to get to a place where you know where you stand money-wise, whether how much you owe, what's your liability, what's your asset, what are those things that you have, and then where do you want to go, where are you now, where you want to go, and begin to create a roadmap, which I have on my website as well, 10 steps to achieve financial freedom.
Mhm.
Those are some of the tools. I have guides about Christmas is coming. Everybody gets really sort of shocked about Christmas, but it comes every December. And so, planning ahead just starts ahead. You
Yeah.
plan ahead for Christmas. And so, or the holidays, or whatever your preference is. But,
Even
I
if it's
thought
on
about
birthday.
birthdays. I mean, people
Yeah.
get really surprised by what I call these variable expenses.
Mhm.
I tell people, when you have a spending plan, you have to have fixed and you have to have variable, just
Yeah.
like when you run a business. And so don't be surprised if Johnny comes home with an invitation, because Johnny has friends. And so that, they'll want to bring a gift, or you're going to someone who's ill and you want to bring something. Begin to create a plan in mind with your life scope, so that your friends, that you don't have to go to every single wedding or every single party, but which things are meaningful to you, and begin to create a plan with those people, with those events, with those circumstances in mind. That's all it is.
And that's why, at least for me, and I recommend it to a lot of people who ask me, I use Digit for things like that. So I don't have to
Yeah.
like literally think, but I know certain things are going to come up every year. And I
Right.
just create the goal in there, and I
There
know
you
what
go.
time of the year it's going to come up, and I know
Yep.
how much money I want to spend
That's right.
for that particular thing, whatever it is, whether even if it's a family vacation, and it's going to do the work for me, and it's
Exactly.
for a certain amount of money every such
Yeah.
week, and I'm going to have that amount of money available to me when the time comes. But
Right.
things, just set it and done.
Set it. Yeah.
Are,
Don't set it and forget it. Set it and make sure you you
don't
manage
forget,
it.
don't
Don't
forget about
forget it.
the money.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that. I offer people tools because everybody is so
Mhm.
different. Some of my clients like a notebook. They love a pen and pad to
Yeah.
write things down. Some people love apps. Some people like Excel spreadsheet. I say, listen, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
It's really your decision. Some people don't even manage their checkbook because they use a debit card for everything.
Right.
It really depends. And I have 4 different parts to my program, but one of the programs I had, I realized, people want to design their own life. And so I have one of the tracks that I have is design your own life, design it your way. You can pick and choose from different things, and you can do whatever it is that you want. If you just want credit wellness, I'm a Freddie Mac credit trainer. If you just want credit wellness, I have a whole list of things of how you can get confidence, control, capability, all the C words for credit. And I take you through, again, a CSI in your credit. That's another story, a CSI in your credit, because so many people don't even understand how credit works. And it is a huge part of your financial health.
Yeah.
Huge part. Now, you may not want to use credit, but can I just tell you that there are hackers that actually will use your credit for you if you don't know that to monitor your credit? I mean, there's something called the dark web and all the things that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going on. And today with COVID, scams are like 90% higher than they
Oh
thought.
gosh.
So
Yes.
you have to know
Scam
what's
likely. Scam likely.
you just got to know what's going on. You cannot put your
Yeah.
head in the sand and expect to say, well, I'm not getting involved. You have to be involved. And not only that, you have to be involved and educate your children, because they have social securities.
Yes.
The scammers are coming after them. So
Yep.
you have to educate them on identity theft and scam prevention and predatory lending, all the things that we don't want to deal with. We
Yeah.
must be
And
educators in our family.
on our computers and on our phones, and all of those things are scam and hackable, for lack of a better word, right?
That's right.
The number of times that you see spam likely pop up on your phone, caller ID,
Yep,
is enough to say you've got to make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing to
absolutely.
protect yourself and your kids, like you said.
Protect yourself. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is fundamental that we do that. And they're not just coming after your finances; they're coming after your identity, which is actually going to take everything down. So you got to be educated.
Yes.
Got to be educated.
Agreed. Well, I want to thank you, Jen, again, for joining us today. If you can very quickly just tell people where to find you.
So they can hop on my website, jeninspiringcoach.com. Again, there are free guides, a free ebook, different things that they could blogs on financial health and well-being, and all the different blogs are filled with chock full of tips and resources and techniques and tools. I love tools. I'm a system person. And thoughts about how you can make your financial life more integrated. I believe in systems, and so I love to integrate and automate everything because I have more time to play and have fun. So
I love a good system. Love a good system.
That's right. That's right. And you can find me at Jen Inspiring Coach on Instagram and on Facebook. And that's where you can find me, where I go live, where I have guests and different conversations. Next year, I'm going to be rolling out, Legacy, which is a long, it's a huge effort. And I know you work with families. And so for me, now I'm past the half of my life. Legacy is key for me. It is a must that I want to create something long-standing. Way after I'm gone, I want to create impact. So I'm really focusing on legacy, and I have a team of people that I'm working with that is helping me to put that together, creating some stories, just conversations, and making it fun always.
Awesome. Well, guys, I hope that you all follow Jen. Jen Inspiring Coach, like she indicated, she does give you a wealth of knowledge on her social media platform. So again, Jen, I want to thank you for
coming
today. Everybody, thank you for joining us for another episode of Conversations with Dene, your family law and wellness needs. And understand, I think I saw this on Jen's Instagram page, I believe it was, but building a legacy and making sure that you have a strong financial life doesn't mean that you've got to have a lot of money. It does not mean that you've got to have, really nice cars and, $500,000 homes and things that you maybe think in your mind are not attainable, or things that you already have, but you don't have the next level up. It doesn't mean that you must have that. It simply means that you have things that are available to you, and that you need to make sure that they are put in the correct place for the correct people, and that you are making sure that you are investing in yourself and financially, and making sure that you have strong accounts and all the correct things in place, like Jen was indicating, insurances, and there's tons of other things. Do your CSI, as she indicated. And so follow Jen, make sure that you are looking at her Instagram lives, that you are following her interviews, and that you catch some of the free guides that she indicated. You will not regret it. I do want to make sure that you all are following us on social media. Again, it's the Dunn Matthews Law Firm. We are on Instagram at D Matthews Firm, on Facebook at Dunn Matthews Firm. We are also on YouTube, where we post videos giving you tips and tricks on how to live your best life that may intertwine and may not intertwine with any domestic issue that you may be experiencing or have experienced. I want to thank you again for joining us tonight, and you all have a great evening.